All right, welcome everybody to Daryl and Boo's weekly update. June 21st today, halfway through the year, really. Daryl, how was your weekend?
Yeah, weekend was awesome. So a couple of things. Had a bit of a milestone over the weekend. Officially, yesterday was my 10-year anniversary at F5, which is amazing because it certainly doesn't even seem close to 10 years. Seems like not very long ago. You and I were kind of just kicking this whole thing off, but so that was nice. But we spent the weekend up in Whistler in a place where I think you and your family go, Riverside Resort or Campground or something like that.
Yep.
So yeah, we have friends that they've got this big massive trailer, and my wife and I, we'll call it camping, but it wasn't really camping. We were staying in a little cabin, which was awesome. But right in the campground, just around the corner from where our friends were. So we just enjoyed some fun by the fire and sort of camping meals. Went for a mountain bike. Went for a run. On Saturday evening, we actually went to the Valley Illumina, which I didn't know a lot about, or really didn't know anything about. But very, very cool experience for those who haven't done it. Up in Cougar Mountain, which is just about a 10-minute drive past Whistler. And the guys that used to own IntraWest, Joe Hussein, his son, I guess, is CEO of this company. So they've got zip lines up there. They've got, in the wintertime, they've got snowmobile tours that you can do. But this Valley Illumina is just an amazing experience of lights and music and sounds in the forest. And you walk through it at your own pace over the course of an hour. Amazing for any age of person. So kids would love it. And it's a little bit of climbing stairs, but obviously outdoor stairs, but beautiful experience. So the whole weekend was great. How about you?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Actually, I was going to ask a question about that. Do you have to go at a certain time for the lights to really show up, or because it's getting pretty light later on in the day now?
That's a good question. I would say, yeah, you're right. You definitely want to be there when it's dark. The showing that we did was at 10:20, and I have no idea if that was the first show of the evening or second. But yeah, I assume they will only book things when it's dark out. In the winter, apparently just an even more amazing experience, because not only do you have the forest and the snow, but you've got the snow kind of in the trees too, that it would reflect off of. But yeah, definitely it's a must do the next time you're up in Whistler, and you've got some time. But, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'll have to check that out. That sounds pretty cool. Yeah. So it was actually another Wellness Friday at F5.
Yeah.
So I mean, speaking of like, you've hit your 10 years, I'm almost at my 10 years. I think one of the things that's really awesome about F5 is just it's a great place to work for. And so this Wellness Friday that they've started to do, and I have an article about this that not specifically about the Wellness Friday from F5, but just how companies are treating employees in general these days. But it's one of the things that F5 is doing to kind of help out with mental health and whatnot. They want us to, kind of share on social media sometimes what we're doing on our Wellness Fridays. Mine is my kids have a parkour class that's on Fridays, so we're not going to get up and go anywhere because they really like their parkour class. But it's for 2 hours, so I go out for lunch with the wife. So that's how we spent at least part of the Wellness Friday there.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then otherwise got the pool up.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, my pool is. I could probably have a segment on my pool and all the drama with my pool. So this year, put up the pool, discovered 3 leaks in it. Got a patch kit, started patching it up. We have a sand filter that we didn't use last year. We just used a regular filter. Sand filter's super efficient, really high powered, and actually does a good job. And so put that together because we wanted to improve on the filter last year, which I wasn't going to replace last year. And a bunch of stuff was leaking from that. So I've got like stuff stuck all over the sides of the pool, patching up where I could. Like a couple of the leaks were ones that were discovered as it was getting filled up, and so there's no turning back at that point. You just got to figure out how you're going to deal with the patch, unless you want to empty out the pool.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's leaking, so I'm trying to plug it from the inside with my finger and then slap a patch on from the other side. And then, water's spraying out of that. You could probably have a small TV show around the common errors.
Right out of a Three Stooges movie or something.
Yeah. So we dealt with that. There's more to do with that, but that I mentioned the filter because the filter had some leaks in the connections as well. So that was part of Friday, part of Saturday. Saturday also replaced the front steps at leading up to the front door of our house, and so that was interesting because I think I mentioned last week the price of lumber. Is pretty crazy right now. So these are not 2x4. I mean, 2x4s have gone up. These are 3x12 pieces. So big honking pieces of wood. They were over $100 each for these pieces here, which is pretty crazy. So took care of that on Saturday, and then Sunday I did go up to Whistler for mountain biking. So that's how I spent my Father's Day. So figured you weren't on the downhill park, so didn't bring you up while we were there. Or did you guys go on the downhill?
No, we didn't. We our friends are pretty accomplished mountain bikers, but Yvonne and I were novices at best. So we just did some trails that they kind of took us on. Nothing blue trails that were fun for us, easy for them. But we had a good time. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
I think no matter what the skill level it's or experience level, it's just fun to go out with other people and do that kind of stuff. Anyways,
it's beautiful. Yeah, it's a great way to spend a few hours and get a little bit of exercise at the same time.
Yeah. So we did that on Sunday, and then that was like most of Sunday. So it was just me and my boys. And so got back on Sunday night there and did some Father's Day stuff, gifts and dinner and whatnot. So it was a lot of fun this weekend.
Happy belated Father's Day, by the way.
Thank you.
So speaking of anniversaries, we've got our living legend coming up here. Has his just had his 17-year anniversary.
On this day in F5 history.
17 years.
2004 today was my first day at F5.
Wow.
Amazing. What's the secret to longevity at F5, Peter?
Let's see. I've often said, and maybe I'll get smacked for this, but I've often said that working remotely, like being remote and not being in the office, I think potentially has helped me along the way.
That's a good point. I've never really worked in an office, but yeah, I probably would have jeopardized my career if I was in there 5 days a week. Yeah.
You never know, right?
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
yeah,
So
it's fun.
so you never actually had a connection to any office, Peter, your entire time?
San Jose, as a matter of fact. So
really?
So what was it? 17 years ago, 2 days ago was when I flew from Honolulu. So we were living in the Hawaiian Islands, flew from Honolulu to San Jose because I was going to be working out of the San Jose office. That's where, the Fire Pass development team way back when, and over near the airport. It was kind of fun. So I flew out to then secure our apartment. I think that was on a Sunday. I think I was in a hotel room overnight, and then that Monday morning I caught, I don't know, a 6:30 or something flight from San Jose to Seattle, and then was in the office, I don't know, I think like 10 a.m. at not 3:50, 4:01. And there was our team. It was the original security business unit, as a matter of fact. I don't know if you guys remember that, but we had a security business unit back then, and that was to help introduce and obviously sell the FirePass SSL VPN, which came from URoam. That eventually, obviously, morphed into Access Policy Manager. And then that same year, no, I think it was 2005 was when we bought the Traffic Shield folks, but it was Magnifier. There you go. Yeah. And then, of course, Traffic Shield turned into the ASM, and now Advanced WAF.
Yeah, so interesting. That's a big milestone in F5 because those APM and ASM have obviously been hugely important to F5's kind of overall solution over the years. So, you recall roughly how many people were at F5 when you joined, Peter?
I was employee 651.
Wow.
So yeah, and then the group, it was just a small group. I think we had 10 people, myself, Charlie Cano, rest his soul, and then Ken Salco. We were the first three security system architects, the SSAs at F5, and then we had an individual tied to us from the sales side. So we were tasked with literally doing all of the security stuff, the implementations, the support, those kinds of things. It was pretty fun.
Wow.
Actually.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Good times.
Yeah.
So now, of course, right, now that we are a security company, it's kind of, I don't know, fulfilling or kind of nice to know to have been part of the team that was originally involved with just us starting to even position security within our customers. Because, back then it was drop off a big IP and come back 30 days later to sign the contract. There was really not much WAFs and IPsec was the predominant VPN solution at the time.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So at some point you transitioned to not really going into an office whatsoever?
Yeah, so I guess from 2004 till about, I want to say 2009, 2010, I was actually going into the San Jose office, but around 2008, 2009 was also when I started to kind of go from trade show to trade show doing the interviews. So I was doing a lot more traveling at the time, and we kind of wanted to move out of Silicon Valley in 2010 and move down here to Southern Cal. So, Ken was my boss at the time, and it's as long as you get your stuff done, they kind of don't care where you live. So I moved down here. They still kept my cube open in San Jose for a couple of years, so that was always nice. But after subsequent moves, I lost that. But
yeah,
I'm still on the distribution list, so I guess that's my still connection to San Jose.
You were saying before we jumped in the air here in Southern California, it's 111 Fahrenheit, so that's like 40-ish Celsius right now.
Yeah, it was about 111, 110 over the weekend.
Wow.
So, but like 11% humidity.
Yeah.
So it's still, it ain't the East Coast where your shirt's sticking to yourself at 83 degrees and 80% humidity.
Right. Yeah.
I'm reminded here of I didn't bring up this article, but I'm reminded of an article that I came across about Deloitte actually announcing that for their employees, they're taking the stance of work wherever you want, just get your stuff done, and you're judged based on your output at that point. And then also at the same time, Morgan Stanley and I think a few other banks in New York are saying you must come into the office. If you're able to go to a coffee shop, you're able to come into the office. So two different approaches there. Both companies that are, as far as I know, they're very demanding as far as output and what you put in and results that you get out, because Deloitte is consulting. And so, it's very customer driven and deliverable driven. So interesting to see two big companies kind of take very opposite stances.
Yeah, right. And the CEO was saying at the bank, like, if you want your New York salary, you better be in the New York office. We're not doing Colorado out here or some kind of notion. I don't know.
I suppose that is true, because if you do have or at least somewhat true, if your salary is in part based on where you live, you decide not to go into the office, then it kind of begs the question is it justified?
Yeah. Uptown or in the Hamptons, right?
Yeah,
One
exactly.
of those.
Yeah, the Hamptons office. I mean, I knew a partner at Deloitte, and so found that article that news report interesting, because I knew a partner at Deloitte, and in times of when there was a big deliverable to be done, he had all of his associates at his house, under the gun, you better start working on this stuff 24/7. Just dedicated a room to his house to having those associates in there and working on deliverables. So interesting to see Deloitte take that stance.
Yeah, and I think it's probably going to depend a lot, right, on the industry, on the individual, on their particular circumstances. And to be fair, that same CEO did mention, something along the lines of, look, we're going to be working with our families, and if there are some situations, whether it be childcare or some other things, we're going to continue to at least work with them. But at least by September, the fall, they do expect everyone in the office, at least in the U.S., because I also think he mentioned the other countries or something where the pandemic is still raging on, and of course those folks won't be going into the office.
Yeah. At the very least, I guess there's going to be more options for people in terms of moving employers, because if your employer does take a hard stance, there's no question that you'll have way more options of places to go to where there is a more flexible kind of work from home strategy. So
yeah, right. The pandemic really kind of just, I don't know if exposed is the right word, but clearly showed that if you're responsible, an adult, just the normal things in life, and you have a job to do, you're actually quite productive, when you're not sitting in traffic for 2 hours going back and forth from the office, and especially if you got certain things. I think that's what kind of brought to light is for a lot of years, maybe not so much in our organization, just because we've been remote for many years, but kind of recognizing that work and life, even though they're supposed to be two separate things, in a lot of ways it's all intertwined anyway. And with everybody home and dealing with that kind of stuff, it was one of those things where it was sort of across the board, and everybody understood all at once kind of what it meant and how important it was, and maybe open their eyes to the fact that, oh wow, we can actually be really productive when, you know, working from home with certain circumstances. Now, granted, certainly there's another swath of the population where people are just aching to get back into the office because they need that FaceTime or the conversations in the hallway or whatever you want to, however you want to put it.
Yeah.
But, you know, I can see both sides for sure.
Totally. Yeah. Equally as important for people to have that flexibility, for the people to do like going to an office and having that interaction with others. It's just as important as anything else. Yeah.
But I do agree with you, Daryl, that I do think now, if there are hard stance companies and you're like, look, I just can't do it, there's going to be plenty of companies now that are like, hey, we kind of don't care. If you want to work from home, have at it, as long as you get your job done. So I do think there's going to be many, many more opportunities for folks to continue on if they want to work from home.
Yeah.
There's, you know, I had a chat on one of my live streams with a fellow named Michael Argast, who's a startup founder of a company called Cobalt.io, and they didn't have a huge office, and then they transitioned to remote everybody through the pandemic, and now he sees that as a strategic advantage. He's not having to look for people for a specific role to fill in a specific city. He can hire from anywhere and get the very best person for the job, as long as he can manage that person and get those deliverables out of them. Now he has all this flexibility to get the best talent for his company. There's a few other companies, like HashiCorp is another one, totally remote. Everybody's remote. They don't have offices even for developers and whatnot, and they can just go out and hire the very best person and don't have to worry about that person being able to make it into a certain office.
Yeah. Literally, time zone is the only limiting factor. And sometimes, depending on your job, it's a benefit to have it be on a different time zone even. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you guys, I know on our team, at least the communities team, we got Dave in the UK, Sean's in APAC, and they seem to get along just fine.
Yeah.
Very cool.
You know, Boo, I was thinking about, over the weekend, I was trying to think of a song, you know, an opening song for your show. And for some reason, I kept coming up. There's a Foreigner song called, you know, Blue Monday. And so literally over the weekend, I was singing Boo Monday, Boo Day. But then I realized Daryl wasn't included. And I've done one where it was I did one for Ram and Wagnon, but I was also then singing little ditty about Boo and Daryl. And I just got to come along with the rest. So maybe I'll blurt out a little like opening number for your show if you want to toss it in there.
That would be an honor. That would be an absolute honor.
Yeah, I'm a huge Camp fan, and Foreigner too, for that matter.
So that's kind of what I was thinking. You know, on my morning walks and stuff, it's just one of those things. Like, I don't know, it just hits, and I start, you know, humming something, and Boo Monday came out. So you might have to hit up that album this week sometime.
I love it. Yeah, I will check it out actually. Hey, so just kind of parlaying off of that topic there, some people have some guesses on what flex. So we've had a couple of chats with different clients at this point about how work is going to look like in their office going forward. And a couple have said, you know, the office is actually going to transform into more collaboration workspaces. If you're coming into the office, it's because you need to have some interaction with somebody. So let's facilitate that and make spaces that are more conducive to actually working together as opposed to kind of separated cubicles. So,
maybe they could, you know, the like couches and beds, they should just put a few mattresses around, since people are now comfortable with like just sitting in their bed, you know, working, and that could be kind of a collaboration space. You could get 4 people on a bed and work together. It's so silly, but you know.
I think Google had those sleeping pods as well.
I think so.
In the office, and so you could just take a nap during the day, power nap, and then move on with your day from there.
I It is funny though, Boo, before you move on from there, because I've talked to quite a few people over the last year who are work from home. Some of them work from home already, but just, way more Zoom calls and all that kind of stuff. Some were, forced to move from an office, but amazing number of people who are taking like 20-minute naps in the day, like just almost have a scheduled half an hour block in their calendar and go take a 20-minute nap. So I kind of wonder if, how prevalent that is become as people have adapted.
I think a lot.
Yeah.
Jason every once in a while, goes and crashes, but then he'll come back in the evenings and, rifle off a bunch of code or a couple articles. If you look at some of the schedules too of those, the Edisons, the Teslas, those individuals from the turn of the century, a lot of those guys took their naps like midday and then worked late into the evening.
Yeah.
After supper and a couple of whiskeys.
Sure. Yeah. Quieter time and less things to bother you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think all this flexibility has, things like how my kids learn as well. Like the pandemic is kind of like, so we have them they finished up by now, but they went into full-on homeschooling. And when I say homeschooling, some people think of just their school transition to Zoom, but we actually took our kids out of school and they're in a homeschool program, or they were in a homeschool program. And so they can wake up where it makes sense. It's not like wake up at a certain time where they're groggy or whatever, they had a late night. They can wake up and they can start working, or they can start off with like breakfast and then actually start working on what they need to work on during the day. We can have total flexibility in the way they learn as well, so we can pick different resources for them that are more adaptable to, one really loves to read. And so the materials that we can get for them are more text focused, and he can read through stuff. And one likes to actually consume over video instead and learns better that way. So we can kind of pick out resources that are more adaptable to him. But same with people working. So if there's certain hours of the day that you're more productive, flex to that. And, as long as that makes sense with time zones and the people that you have to interact with, then it makes total sense to be able to pick how you operate.
Yeah. I mean, there's whole slews of industries where that work at night, and you may, initially think, it's housekeeping and those sort of people. But if you think the entertainment industry, like most actors, most musicians, most of the people that work with those kinds of artists, they all work at night. Like that's when they're on the 8 o'clock curtain or whatever, or, that kind of stuff. So there's definitely a huge swath of folks for people in bed. It was more
yeah, we dodged a bullet on that one. I think we'll stay on air.
I'm sitting sitting with one leg under the thing and all up. I'm not. I kind of thought that might come out.
Yeah.
Cool.
But it was all innocent.
Yes. Course.
We've hit our half hour, so thanks for jumping on, Peter. Great conversation as always.
Anytime.
Good to see you, Peter.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, keep the sunscreen on too. Don't burn out there.
Yeah. And congrats on 17 years. That's very cool.
Hey, thanks.
All right.
I think so too.
Yeah.
All right.
See you, everyone. Thanks.